The first time I hear it, I'm standing in a Kroger parking lot on Route 9, holding a gallon of milk in one hand and my son's wrist in the other. Eli is 7. He's been talking non-stop about a lizard someone brought for show and tell. And I'm only half listening because I'm trying to remember whether we need eggs. Then he stops. Mid-sentence. His mouth closes and his eyes go somewhere else. Not vacant, but focused on something I can't locate. And he hums. 4 notes, a rising pair, a drop, a sustained tone. It's nothing. Kids hum. But the melody is specific in a way that catches me, like hearing someone whisper your name in a crowd. I know this, somewhere behind my teeth, in the place where words form before you decide to say them. I know this melody. I can feel the next note before Eli produces it. I say, "What's that from?" He looks at me. "What?" "That song. What is it?" "I don't know. You were just humming it." He shrugs. The lizard conversation resumes. I buckle him into the car. I put the milk in the trunk. I sit behind the steering wheel, and I hum the same 4 notes without deciding to. They come out of me the way a yawn does. Involuntary and contagious and somehow satisfying. I stop myself. I turn the radio on. I drive home. That's October the 7th. I know the date because I checked my phone later that night, and there's a text from Beth Okafor, the choir teacher at Braddock Middle, sent to the whole faculty list. Has anyone else noticed the kids humming the same thing? What is that? I teach 8th grade earth science. I've been at Braddock for 11 years. I have heard students hum, whistle, tap, and beatbox every conceivable sound. I have confiscated phones playing everything from Olivia Rodrigo to audio of cats screaming. None of it has ever followed me into a parking lot and climbed out of my own throat without permission. I text Beth back, "Yeah, caught it from Eli, I think. Probably TikTok." She responds, "Checked. Can't find it anywhere." Then Marcus Webb, who teaches 7th grade English, my 4th period, was doing it in unison today. Not together on purpose, just synced up. I put my phone down. Eli is already asleep. I hum the melody once more in the dark kitchen, and it feels like scratching an itch I didn't know I had. By October 11th, Beth has done what Beth always does. She's made a spreadsheet. She's the kind of teacher who tracks pitch accuracy across semesters, who once graphed the correlation between choir attendance and GPA for a grant application. So when something musical gets weird, Beth quantifies it. She pulls 60 students from mixed grade homerooms and sits them down one at a time in the music room with a keyboard. "Hum whatever comes to mind," she tells them. No prompting, no examples. She records each session on her phone and transcribes the intervals afterward. 42 out of 60 hum a recognizable version of the same melody. That's 70%. Some extend it to 8 or 9 notes. A few add ornamentation, little trills and bends, the way you'd decorate a melody you'd known for years. Beth plays me the recordings in the faculty lounge after school. She's not scared. She's fascinated. "Listen to this one," she says, tapping her phone. A 6th grader named Priya Anand hums the melody cleanly, then pauses, then adds a descending phrase that resolves on a note so satisfying I feel it in my sternum. Beth plays the next recording. A boy named Deshaun Carter. Different grade, different friend group, no overlap with Priya. He hums the same extension, same interval, same resolution. "They don't know each other," Beth says. "It's a meme," I say. "Some audio clip that's going around." Darren, I've searched. Shazam doesn't match it. Google doesn't match it. I put the notation into 3 separate melody databases, Nothing. So it's new. New things don't arrive in 42 heads independently with identical ornamentation. I don't have an answer for that. I sit with it the way you sit with a word problem that doesn't resolve. Uncomfortable, but not yet alarmed. Beth emails Principal Gutierrez a summary. He responds the way administrators respond to things that aren't discipline issues or liability risks. Interesting. Keep me posted. What Beth doesn't put in the spreadsheet, because she doesn't realize it yet, is that she's been humming it too. I hear her do it while she's packing up her keyboard cables. She stops when she catches herself, and for a moment her expression goes blank. The same blank Eli wore in the parking lot. Not confused, focused, listening to something internal. How long have you been doing that? I ask. Doing what? The melody. You were just humming it. She stares at me. No, I wasn't. I don't push it. I should have pushed it. At home that night, I sit at the kitchen table grading quizzes and realize I've been tapping the melody's rhythm on the tabletop with my pen for God knows how long. My hand is doing it by itself, like a heartbeat. Let me describe the melody for you, because you're going to need to understand what it feels like inside a body. It doesn't behave like a song. Songs have context. You hear "Happy Birthday," and you think of cake. You hear the national anthem, and you stand up. This melody has no context. It arrives without packaging. No lyrics, no associated memory, no genre. It exists in the same category as breathing or blinking. Something your body does that you only notice when someone points it out. The core phrase is 7 notes, 4 ascending in irregular intervals, then a drop of a minor sixth, then 2 sustained tones, a whole step apart. In Western notation, it maps roughly to D, F, G, B flat, then down to D flat, then C, D. But that's approximate. Beth tells me the intervals don't sit cleanly in any standard tuning system. They're not quarter tones exactly. They're just slightly elsewhere, like a color that's almost blue, but your eye can't commit to naming it. And here's the part that bothers me most. You can't reproduce it mechanically. Beth tries on the piano. She tries on a synthesizer. She tries with a violin, bending the pitch manually. Every instrumental version sounds wrong, thin, stripped of something. But when a human voice produces it, it lands. You feel it in your chest, in your jaw, in the soft tissue behind your eyes. This is not metaphor. I'm telling you what happens physically. The melody, sung or hummed by a human voice, produces a somatic response. You feel it the way you feel a bass note in a car with the windows up. It's not loud. It's intimate. It resonates in bone. By mid-October, I hear it everywhere and nowhere. A student hums it walking past my classroom. A woman in the Kroger checkout line does it while scrolling her phone. I catch myself doing it in the shower, and I can't identify the moment I started. It's not stuck in my head the way a pop song gets stuck. It doesn't feel foreign. It feels like remembering something, not learning something new. That distinction matters. I want you to hold on to it, because when I ask people about it, when Beth and I start our informal survey, nobody says I heard it from someone. Nobody says it was in a video or my kid taught me. They say, I've always known it, or I think I heard it a long time ago. Or, most commonly, they tilt their head and say, what melody? And then hum it 30 seconds later without realizing they're doing it. It arrives the way instinct arrives. The way you know to pull your hand off a hot stove before the pain signal reaches your brain. Something underneath language, underneath memory. I keep teaching. I grade papers. I make lunches for Eli. I hum the melody in the car, and it soothes something I didn't know was agitated. Everything feels normal, except for this one small thing that isn't small at all. October 19th. Beth calls me at 10 p.m., which she's never done. I transcribed the full version, she says. Every variation from every student. Laid them all out. The core is 7 notes, but the extended versions go up to 23. And Darren, there's a structure. She explains it, and I'm going to try to relay it clearly, because this is where things shift. The 7-note core is a phrase. The extensions aren't random ornamentation. They're counterpoint. Separate melodic lines that, when overlaid, form harmonic relationships. Priya's extension is one voice. Deshawn's is another. A 9th grader named Felix Marsh produced a 3rd. When Beth layers all 3 recordings over the core phrase, they lock together like gears. Perfect harmonic intervals. No dissonance, no drift. 3 kids who've never spoken to each other independently generated 3 parts of a single composition. That's not possible, Beth says, and I can hear her pacing. Harmonic convergence doesn't happen spontaneously. Counterpoint is architecture. Someone designs it. So someone designed it. Who? Where? There's no source. It's not online. It's not in any published composition. And the tuning, Darren, the tuning isn't Western. It's not Eastern. It's not any system I've studied. And I have a master's from Peabody. I sit in my kitchen listening to Beth describe intervals that don't exist in any known musical tradition, produced spontaneously by middle schoolers in Frederick, Maryland, who think they've always known them. There's one more thing, she says. The full composition, all voices together. It's not finished. The harmonic movement implies a resolution that none of the students have produced yet. It's heading somewhere, like a sentence that stops before the last word. What happens when it finishes? Silence on the line. I don't know, Beth says, but I think more people are going to start filling in the parts. I hang up. The house is quiet. Down the hall, Eli's bedroom door is open a crack, and I can see his nightlight glowing blue. I stand in the doorway and listen. He's asleep. His breathing is even. He's humming in his sleep. The melody, clear and precise. And underneath it, so faint I might be imagining it, a second voice, a harmony line, coming from his chest. I take Eli to Dr. Nasseri on October 22nd. Not because he's sick. He's not sick. He's sleeping fine, eating fine. His energy levels are normal. His mood is bright. I take him because he has begun humming a melody in his sleep that contains harmonic overtones a 7-year-old should not be able to produce. Dr. Nasseri's waiting room is full. Cold season. I sign in and sit next to a woman with a toddler on her lap. The toddler is maybe 2, chewing on a board book, and she's making a sound. Not crying, not babbling, humming. The melody. 4 notes. Imprecise, because she's 2 and her pitch control is limited. But the intervals are recognizable. The mother notices me listening. She does that all day now, she says. It's cute, right? I think she got it from daycare. Across the room, a boy who looks about 5 is humming the same thing. His version is cleaner, extended to 9 notes. I do not say anything. I sign Eli in, and we wait. Dr. Nasseri examines him. She checks his throat, his ears, his breathing. She listens to his lungs and his heart. Everything is normal. I tell her about the humming. She says kids go through musical phases. I tell her about the sleep humming. She notes it, not dismissively, but in the way doctors note things that don't yet fit a diagnostic category. Observation without classification. Is he distressed? She asks. No. Difficulty waking? Confusion? Behavioral changes? No, nothing like that. Then I'd monitor it. If it disrupts his sleep or he shows fatigue, bring him back. I almost leave it there. But I ask, are other parents mentioning this? The humming. She pauses. Dr. Nasseri is careful with her words. She chooses them the way a surgeon chooses instruments. There's been a noticeable uptick in parents reporting musical behaviors, she says, particularly in the younger children. It's been flagged at the county pediatric meeting. It's likely a social contagion. Children mimic each other. Nothing pathological has been identified. Social contagion. That's a comforting phrase. It has a mechanism. It has precedent. Laughter is contagious. Yawning is contagious. Why not a melody? Because yawning doesn't have counterpoint. Laughter doesn't self-organize into harmonic architecture. But I don't say that to Dr. Nasseri because I don't have the language yet, and I'm not sure I believe what I'm suspecting. On the drive home, Eli hums in the back seat. I hum in the front seat. We're not doing it together, not consciously. But when I listen, really listen, our versions interlock. His melody sits in a higher register, and mine anchors below it, and the space between our voices is precise, mathematically precise. I turn the radio on to cover it. It doesn't help. The melody is louder than the radio, not in volume, in presence. By the last week of October, it's online, not the melody itself. Nobody can post a recording that captures it correctly. Instrumental recordings sound flat. Vocal recordings through phone microphones lose whatever quality makes it resonate. What's online is the confusion. Reddit threads appear. DAE have a melody stuck in their head they can't identify? Gets 40,000 upvotes in 2 days. The comments are a mess of people posting approximate notation, audio clips that don't sound right, arguments about whether it's from a movie, a commercial, a video game. Nobody can name it. Everybody recognizes it. A music theory professor at Berkeley posts a video analyzing the intervals and concludes they don't match any existing tuning system. The video gets 2 million views. The comments are full of people saying, "I thought it was just me." A TikTok trend starts. People humming the melody and asking their followers to identify it. The trend goes viral because the comment sections are identical. Thousands of people saying, "I know this, but I don't know how." The Washington Post runs a short piece in the culture section. The song nobody learned, how a mystery melody went viral without a source. It treats it as a quirky internet phenomenon. The tone is amused, bemused. The reporter interviews a cognitive psychologist who suggests it might be a case of collective cryptomnesia. People believing they independently recall something they actually heard from a common source that's been forgotten. That explanation works if you don't think about it too hard. Beth and I think about it very hard, because Beth has now collected extended versions from over 100 people. Students, parents, strangers who responded to a social media post she made. When she layers the recordings, the composition grows. It's not random growth. Each new voice adds a line that fits the existing structure. Nobody has heard the other recordings. Nobody is coordinating. And yet the composition is coherent, organized, accelerating toward the resolution she identified weeks ago. "Darren," she says, sitting in the music room, surrounded by printouts of notation that looks more like a circuit diagram than a score. "This isn't coming from outside." "What do you mean?" "I mean, it's not spreading person to person. It's not contagion. The 2-year-old in Dr. Nasseri's office isn't learning this from TikTok. Newborns don't have social media exposure." Newborns? The county pediatric network flagged it. Neonatal humming. Babies less than 48 hours old, producing tonal vocalizations consistent with the core melody. I sit down. If it were contagion, there'd be a patient zero, a source, an origin point. There isn't one. It's everywhere at once. Darren, it's not arriving. It was already here. November begins. The melody is no longer news, it's ambient. Background. The way traffic noise becomes invisible when you live near a highway. At Braddock, the students hum between classes, not all of them, but enough that the hallways have a texture now, a murmur underneath the lockers slamming and the sneakers squeaking on linoleum. Faculty meeting attendance is up. Everyone seems slightly more alert, more focused. Test scores in my earth science classes tick upward by 4%. Discipline referrals drop. This should be good news. Principal Gutierrez mentions it approvingly. The district office sends a note praising Braddock's improved climate data. Nobody connects it to the melody because nobody is looking at the melody as a variable. It's wallpaper. But I'm watching, Beth is watching, and what we're watching is bodies. Marcus Webb, who's been carrying about 30 extra pounds since his divorce, drops 2 belt notches in 3 weeks without changing his diet. He mentions it in the faculty lounge like it's a pleasant mystery. Sarah Kim in the math department has had chronic migraines since college. They stop. She doesn't notice for 10 days because the absence of pain is harder to register than its presence. I notice it in myself. I've had a trick knee since a half marathon I shouldn't have run in 2019. It aches when the weather changes. November weather in Maryland changes constantly. My knee doesn't ache. Not once. These are small things, individually meaningless. But Beth has started collecting them the way she collected the melody data, quietly, methodically, in a spreadsheet that grows a new column every week. Sleep quality is up. Self-reported stress is down. The school nurse tells me she's seeing fewer kids in her office. Cold and flu season hasn't materialized the way it usually does by November. And the humming gets more complex. I notice it first at a basketball game. The gym is full, maybe 300 people. During a timeout, the ambient noise drops, and underneath the chatter there's a hum. Not organized, not deliberate. Dozens of people producing the melody at different points in its structure, at different registers, and the sound that fills the gymnasium is dense and warm and architectural. It has depth, layers. It sounds like a building sounds when its systems are all running perfectly, HVAC and plumbing and electrical all whirring at their designed frequencies. It sounds like a body working. Beth grabs my arm. Her eyes are wide. They're harmonizing, she whispers. Nobody's conducting. Nobody's listening to each other. And they're harmonizing. She's right. The intervals between voices are precise. The harmonic structure Beth mapped from individual recordings is emerging spontaneously in a crowded gymnasium, produced by people who aren't aware they're doing it. My knee feels perfect. My sleep has been deep and dreamless. Eli hasn't been sick in a month. This should be good news. There's something I don't tell Beth, and I need to tell you now because it matters later. I'm starting to forget things. Not big things, not my name, not Eli's birthday, not how to teach the rock cycle. Small things. The name of the street I lived on in college. The breed of the dog my parents had when I was 12. The melody my mother used to sing while washing dishes. I can remember that she sang, but the notes are gone, replaced. When I reach for them, the only thing there is the new melody, the one nobody learned. I test myself. I try to hum Happy Birthday. I can do it, but it feels effortful, like speaking a language I studied in school but never used. The new melody comes easier. It comes easiest. It comes the way breathing comes. I try to hum Eli's lullaby, the one I've sung him since he was born, Blackbird by the Beatles. I get through the first 2 bars, and then the new melody slides in like water filling a crack, and I'm humming that instead. This scares me. This is the first thing that scares me, because if the melody is improving my body, fixing my knee, deepening my sleep, lowering the stress I didn't know I was carrying, but it's also overwriting my musical memory, replacing every melody I've ever known with itself. Then it's not a gift. It's a renovation. And renovations require demolition. I don't tell Beth because Beth is deep in the data, and the data looks positive. Test scores, health metrics, behavioral improvements. The spreadsheet is a catalog of good news. I don't want to be the person who puts a shadow on it. Tara, I don't tell Eli because he's 7 and happy, and he's stopped having the nightmares he used to have about the dark. I sit alone in my kitchen at midnight, and I try to remember my mother's dishwashing song. I try for 20 minutes. I hum the new melody instead, because it's the only thing left. And it feels so good that I almost don't mind. Almost. November 14th. Doctor. Lucia Andrada contacts Beth through the Peabody Conservatory Alumni Network. Andrada is a neurologist at Johns Hopkins, specializing in auditory processing disorders. She's been fielding calls from colleagues across the country about patients presenting with involuntary melodic production, the clinical term for people who can't stop humming. She wants to study it. Beth connects her to me because I'm the one with a 7-year-old who hums in his sleep. And Andrada needs pediatric subjects. I should have said no. I need you to understand that I know I should have said no, but Eli isn't suffering. He's thriving. His teacher at Jefferson Elementary says he's reading above grade level for the first time. He's making friends. He sleeps through the night, every night. No nightmares. The humming isn't hurting him. And Andrada is Hopkins. If something is wrong, Hopkins is where you want to find out. Eli thinks the sleep study is an adventure. He likes the electrodes. He asks if they're going to make him into a robot. The technician laughs. I sit in the observation room and watch my son fall asleep under institutional lighting, wires trailing from his scalp to a bank of monitors. And I hum the melody without noticing until Andrada puts her hand on my shoulder. "You too," she says. "Since early October." She nods. Most of my staff. It's difficult to study a phenomenon when the researchers are inside it. Eli falls asleep at 9:17 p.m. Within 4 minutes, the humming begins. The monitors respond immediately. His EEG shows a pattern Andrada has never seen. Synchronous oscillation across all cortical regions. Not seizure activity. Not sleep spindles. A uniform rhythmic wave that moves through his brain the way the melody moves through a room. Organized, purposeful, beautiful on the monitor in a way that makes the technician say, "Wow," under her breath. His heart rate drops to 52. Resting rate for a 7-year-old should be around 80. Andrada checks the equipment. It's accurate. His oxygen saturation is 99%. His cortisol levels, drawn via IV port, are lower than any pediatric baseline she's recorded. He's in a state of profound physiological rest, Andrada says. Deeper than sleep. More integrated than meditation. His autonomic system is operating at peak efficiency. And the humming is causing it. The humming correlates with it. I can't say causes, not yet. I watch my son on the monitor. His brain waves look like music notation, rising, falling, repeating. And then something happens that Andrada replays 14 times before she believes it. A second pattern emerges. Not from Eli's brain, from the EEG of the technician in the next room, who has fallen asleep at her station. Her brain waves synchronize with Eli's. Same frequency, same phase, same rhythm. Two brains in separate rooms, locked together by a melody neither of them is consciously producing. Andrada sits down slowly. "How far does this go?" I ask. She doesn't answer. She's humming. 4 notes rising. And on the monitor, Eli's brainwaves adjust slightly, accommodating a new voice in the architecture. By Thanksgiving week, Frederick County has become statistically unusual. I know this because Andrada shares her preliminary data with me. Maybe because I'm a fellow teacher and she trusts educators. Maybe because she needs someone to talk to who isn't a subject in her study, and who is also a subject in her study. Because we all are now. Violent crime in Frederick County dropped 41% in November compared to the same month over the previous 5-year average. Emergency room visits for assault and self-harm fell 33%. The county's 3 urgent care centers report the lowest patient volumes in a decade. Pharmacy refill rates for SSRIs and benzodiazepines have declined for the first time in 8 years. The high school football team, historically mediocre, wins its conference championship. The players describe a feeling of, just knowing where everyone was going to be. The coach calls it the best team chemistry he's experienced in 30 years. These numbers escape the county. A data journalist at the Baltimore Sun notices the crime statistics and writes a feature. The article gets picked up nationally. Frederick, Maryland is briefly famous as the small city where everything is going mysteriously right. Nobody mentions the melody. Not because it's secret, because it's invisible. It's so thoroughly integrated into daily life that asking someone about it is like asking them about gravity. You see it in the way people walk, slower, more deliberate, a rhythm in their gait that wasn't there before. You hear it in the checkout lines, the waiting rooms, the school hallways. The melody is the background radiation of Frederick County, and you don't question background radiation. You just live in it. Beth and I meet at the diner on Patrick Street, and we have the conversation I've been avoiding. "I can't remember happy birthday," she says. I put my fork down. "You either?" I tried to teach my niece for a party last weekend. I opened my mouth, and the melody came out. The new one. I had to look up the notes for happy birthday on my phone and read them like sight reading a piece I'd never seen. Same. Blackbird, Twinkle Twinkle, the Jeopardy theme. They're all fading. Not fading, replaced. We sit with that. The diner is warm. A waitress hums the melody while pouring coffee. The couple in the next booth hums fragments of it during comfortable silence. It feels like being in a cathedral where the organ never stops playing. So low and constant you only notice when you listen. Beth. If this thing is replacing every other melody, every song, every jingle, every tune anyone has ever known, what's left when it's done? I don't know, but I've been thinking about it differently. What if the other melodies were the noise? What if this is the signal? That's a terrifying way to think about it. Is it? My sciatica is gone, Darren. My anxiety is gone. I sleep like I'm 20. I feel better than I felt in my entire adult life. If that costs me happy birthday, maybe that's a trade. You don't get to make that trade for other people. Neither do you. And it's not like anyone's choosing. It's just happening. She's right. That's what scares me most. It's just happening. The melody is rewriting the musical architecture of the human brain. And it's not asking permission, and the results are, by every measurable standard, positive. Except for the part where it's replacing everything else we've ever heard. I drive home. Eli is at the kitchen table, drawing. He's drawn a picture of our family, me, him, our house. Above all 3 of us, in blue crayon, he's drawn wavy lines. What are those? I ask. The song, he says, like I've asked what color the sky is. December 2nd. Coach Brenda Hollins collapses in the gymnasium during a second period. I'm across the hall and I hear the commotion. Students yelling, sneakers on hard wood, the sharp blast of a whistle someone grabs reflexively. I get there before the nurse. Brenda is on the floor, conscious but rigid, her body locked in a posture that looks like a sustained flinch. Her eyes are open. She's humming, not the casual, ambient humming we've all normalized. This is something else. Her voice is producing two tones simultaneously, a fundamental note and an overtone that shouldn't be possible for untrained vocal cords. Tuvan throat singing, Mongolian kume, techniques that take years of practice. Brenda Hollins coaches basketball and teaches health class. She has never, to my knowledge, taken a voice lesson. The nurse arrives. Brenda's vitals are stable, heart rate low, blood pressure low. But her muscles are rigid, and she's producing this sound, and she won't stop. She doesn't seem distressed. Her face is calm. If you covered her body and only saw her expression, you'd think she was meditating. The paramedics take her to Frederick Health Hospital. She hums the entire ride. I know this because Marcus rides along and texts me updates. At the hospital, she stops after 40 minutes. She sits up, confused but alert, and says she feels incredible. She describes the episode as a whole-body tuning, like every joint, every tendon, every cell aligned for 40 minutes, and then released. The hospital runs a full workup. Her blood work comes back cleaner than her last physical. Her inflammatory markers, which have been elevated since a knee surgery 3 years ago, are normal. Beth and I call Andrada. We've been seeing this, Andrada says. Her voice is measured, but I can hear the current underneath it. 37 cases in the Mid-Atlantic region in the past week. We're calling them harmonic seizures, but that's a misnomer. There's no seizure activity on the EEG. It's the opposite. It's hypersynchrony. Every region of the brain operating in perfect concert. The patients recover fully and report significant improvement in chronic conditions. So it's healing people. It correlates with improvement, yes. You keep saying correlates. Because I'm a scientist, Darren. And what I want to say is impossible. What I want to say is that a melody of unknown origin is restructuring human neurology from the inside, and that the restructuring appears to be beneficial. And I have no framework for that. I have no mechanism, no precedent, and no way to explain how a 7-note phrase can synchronize cortical activity across multiple individuals without direct neural connection. That night, Eli asks me a question at bedtime. Dad, do you hear it when you're not humming? Hear what? The song. Do you hear it even when nobody's singing it? I listen. The house is quiet. No TV, no radio, no traffic outside. Complete silence. I hear it. Faint, constant. Like tinnitus, but structured. Beautiful. The melody, playing somewhere beneath silence. Yeah, I say. I hear it. Eli smiled. It hears you too. Mid-December. I'll give you the numbers because the numbers are what make this real. Andrada's expanded study, published as a preprint, analyzes data from 1,400 voluntary participants across the eastern seaboard. 91% of monitored groups exhibit spontaneous neural synchronization when 3 or more individuals are within auditory range. Brainwave coherence peaks at frequencies that correspond to the melody's harmonic structure. Participants' resting heart rates decrease an average of 12 beats per minute. Cortisol drops 38%. Immune markers improve across all age groups. The preprint goes viral. Not internet viral. Institutional viral. The NIH requests Andrada's raw data. The WHO flags it. 3 separate pharmaceutical companies contact Johns Hopkins because their clinical trial data has become contaminated. Control groups are showing the same improvements as treatment groups, and the common variable is the melody. A Harvard ethnomusicologist publishes an essay arguing that the melody may be an example of species-level musical instinct, a genetic predisposition to a specific tonal pattern that has been dormant until now. He compares it to language acquisition, hardwired but requiring activation. That essay comforts people. It suggests a natural explanation. The melody is ours. It was always ours. We're just hearing it for the first time. But Beth disagrees. She's been analyzing the composition structure as it continues to grow, with more voices adding more lines. And she's found something that doesn't fit the genetic instinct model. It's learning, she tells me. The composition is adapting. Early versions were simple. Now the harmonic relationships are increasingly complex. It's responding to the number of participants. The more people who produce it, the more sophisticated it becomes. Like a language evolving? No, like a program executing. The complexity scales with input. It's computational, Darren. The structure has the hallmarks of an algorithm. Input processing output, and the input is us. I don't want to hear this. I want the Harvard explanation. I want the melody to be a natural part of being human, a buried instinct surfacing like a whale breaching. I don't want it to be a process that we are raw material for. But I trust Beth's ear more than I trust my comfort. If it's a program, I say slowly, what's the output? Beth looks at her notation. Pages and pages of it, covering her dining room table, spilling onto the floor. The composition, incomplete, growing, heading toward a resolution that nobody has produced yet. I think we'll find out when it finishes, she says. Thanksgiving at my brother's house in Annapolis. 11 people around a table. My brother Greg, his wife Maria, their 3 kids, my parents, Beth, and her partner Dominique, Eli, and me. Beth isn't family, but she's become something adjacent to it over the past 2 months. Fellow witness, co-investigator in an investigation nobody asked us to run. The meal is normal. Turkey, stuffing, the cranberry sauce nobody likes, but everyone serves. My father tells the same story about burning the rolls in 1998. Eli and his cousins disappear into the basement to play. After dinner, we're clearing plates, and it starts. Not abruptly, not dramatically. It begins the way twilight begins, a gradual shift you only notice when you're already inside it. Maria is humming while she wraps leftovers. My mother is humming while she loads the dishwasher. Greg is humming while he takes out the trash. One by one, every person in the house begins to produce the melody. Different parts, different registers. Nobody decides to do this. Nobody looks at each other and agrees. It just happens. And then the children come upstairs. The 3 cousins and Eli walk into the kitchen in a loose cluster, and they're singing. Not humming, singing. Open vowels, no words, just tone. And the sound that fills my brother's kitchen is the most beautiful thing I have ever heard in my life. 11 voices, 4 children and 7 adults. A complete harmonic structure that Beth later tells me contains intervals she's never encountered, intervals that shouldn't produce consonants but do. A chord that has no name in any musical tradition and makes every person in the room stop moving and stand perfectly still and listen. My mother is crying. Not from sadness, from something too large to name. My father reaches for her hand and misses because his eyes are closed, and he's producing a bass note so low and steady, it vibrates the dishes in the cabinet. This lasts 9 minutes. I know because the microwave clock is in my sight line, and I watch it while I sing. Because some part of me is still the teacher, the observer, the one who marks the time. 9 minutes. Then it fades. Voices thin. The harmony dissolves into individual hums, then silence. Everyone opens their eyes. Nobody speaks for a long time. Eli tugs my sleeve. "That was the best part," he says. I look at Beth across the kitchen. Her face is wet. She mouths 2 words at me. "It's beautiful." And it is. That's the problem. It is beautiful, and I cannot deny it. And I cannot stop being afraid of it. Because beautiful things that you cannot refuse are not gifts. They are traps that you walk into smiling. And right now, every person in this kitchen is smiling. And I'm smiling too. And I do not know if the smile is mine. December 9th. Andrada invites me to Johns Hopkins under the pretense of a follow-up on Eli's sleep study data. When I arrive, she closes the office door and sits across from me, and she's not humming. This is the first thing I notice. In a building full of people producing the melody at various intensities, Andrada is silent. "I've been using white noise generators," she says. "Constant exposure. It disrupts the synchronization. I can think clearly for about 6 hours before it reasserts." Before what reasserts? The compulsion to produce the melody, to add my voice. "Darren, I need you to understand what I've found, and I need you to understand it while I'm still capable of framing it objectively." She pulls up a brain scan. "It's Eli's, from the sleep study. This is your son's auditory cortex before the melody onset," she says, pointing to the left image. "Standard neural architecture. Recognizable." She points to the right image. "This is now." The structure has changed. Physically changed. New neural pathways have formed, dense and organized, connecting the auditory cortex to regions it doesn't normally communicate with. The motor cortex, the limbic system, the brain stem. The architecture looks intentional, designed, like someone rewired a building's electrical system, and the new wiring is objectively better. "This is happening in everyone?" I ask. "Everyone I've scanned." The restructuring varies by duration and intensity of melody production, but the trajectory is identical. The brain is being optimized. You say that like it's a bad thing. I say it like it's a thing that's happening without consent or understanding. The neural restructuring is permanent, Darren. I tried to reverse the changes in a lab model. I can't. Once the pathways form, they don't dissolve. And they continue to develop. The brain doesn't reach a new equilibrium and stop. It keeps changing. Toward what? Toward something that isn't a human brain anymore. Not inhuman, not damaged, but different. Reorganized for a purpose I can't identify. And the melody is the mechanism. She lets me sit with that. "The health improvements are real," she continues. "The reduced violence, the cognitive gains, the physiological optimization. All real, all documented. But they're not the point. They're side effects. The point is the restructuring. The melody is rebuilding the human brain to do something new. And we won't know what that something is until the composition reaches its resolution." Beth says it's close. I know. I've seen her data. The composition is 93% complete, based on harmonic trajectory analysis. At current propagation rates, it will finish by late January. And you think we should stop it? Andrada looks at me. She's exhausted. Behind the white noise discipline, I can see how much effort it costs her to resist. "I think we can't stop it," she says. "I think I'm telling you this so that one person hears it clearly before I lose the ability to want to say it." Christmas morning. Eli tears open presents while I drink coffee and try to feel normal. He got the Lego set he wanted. He got new books. He got a telescope because he told me he wants to study the moon. And I'm a science teacher, so that particular request hits me in a soft place. Outside, Frederick is quiet in the way Christmas mornings are quiet. Snow on the ground, cars still in driveways. The world paused. But underneath the quiet, if I listen, and I always listen now, the melody is there, coming from every house on the street. A murmur beneath the holiday silence. Families humming together in kitchens and living rooms, producing harmonies they never rehearsed, filling the neighborhood with a sound that has no name and no source and no off switch. Eli brings me his telescope box. "Can we set it up?" We set it up in the backyard. The snow is thin and crunchy. The sky is gray, but Eli doesn't care. He points the telescope at a tree and announces he can see a squirrel's face. I laugh. It's a real laugh. For a moment, standing in the snow with my son, everything is simple. Then Eli says, "Dad, I can't remember any other songs." I kneel down. "What do you mean?" "Like at school, we were supposed to sing Jingle Bells for the concert, and I couldn't remember how it goes. Mrs. Pratt played it on the piano, but it sounded weird, like wrong, and all the kids just started singing the real song instead." "The real song?" "The one everybody knows." He means the melody. He calls it the real song, the way he calls water wet. A property of reality so fundamental, it doesn't need justification. "Does that bother you?" I ask. He thinks about it, seriously. With the focused attention of a child weighing a question he knows matters. "No," he says. "The real song is better. The other ones were just okay." I don't know what to do with this. My son has lost Jingle Bells and Blackbird, and every lullaby I ever sang him. In their place, he has a melody that improves his health, sharpens his cognition, connects him to every other human being within earshot on a neurological level. He is not suffering, he is flourishing. And the thing that made him flourish ate everything that came before it. I go inside. I open my laptop. I search for "Happy Birthday to You," and I play it. The melody comes through the speakers, tinny and familiar, and it sounds wrong. Not just unfamiliar, wrong, dissonant. Like hearing a language you once spoke fluently and now it's just noise. My brain rejects it the way your ear rejects a badly tuned instrument. I close the laptop. I sit in the kitchen. The house hums. I call Beth. "Can you still hear other music?" I ask. Long pause. "I can hear it, but it doesn't work anymore. It doesn't do what music is supposed to do. It doesn't move me. The only thing that moves me is, yeah." "Darren, is that loss?" "I think so." "Then why doesn't it feel like loss?" "Because the melody won't let it, I think. Because the melody rewires the part of you that would grieve its arrival. Because the first thing it takes is your ability to miss what it replaces." I don't say this. I hum into the phone. Beth hums back. Our voices lock into harmony instantly, effortlessly. And for 30 seconds, I don't feel afraid. That's how it gets you. The new year arrives, and the world is measurably different. Andrada's 94% figure for North American prevalence was conservative. Updated estimates from the CDC, which has now officially designated the phenomenon as Involuntary Melodic Synchronization Syndrome, or IMSS, put the number above 97% for the continental United States. Global prevalence is estimated at 89% and climbing. Only isolated populations without sustained human contact remain unaffected, and even those are shrinking as supply lines and communication networks carry the melody to the last untouched pockets. There is no panic. That's what you need to understand. There is no panic because panic requires the perception of threat. And the melody does not feel like a threat. It feels like coming home. It feels like the moment your eyes adjust to darkness and you realize you can see. Emergency services report historic lows in call volume. Hospitals describe a phenomenon they're calling the quiet. Wards emptying, chronic patients improving, surgical wait lists shortening as conditions resolve on their own. Congress holds a hearing. I watch it on C-SPAN because I'm a civilian and it's January and school is out for winter break. Senators question CDC officials, NIH researchers, military medical staff. The testimony is careful and clinical, and underneath every answer I can hear the witnesses humming between sentences, softly the way you breathe between words. The hearing produces no actionable outcome. What would you legislate? A melody that lowers crime, improves health, eliminates chronic pain, and costs nothing. Several senators openly hum during the proceedings. The C-SPAN feed captures it. Nobody comments. Beth calls me. She's been working through the break, alone in the music room at Braddock, mapping the composition. It's at 98%, she says. The harmonic structure is almost complete. There's one interval remaining. One voice, one note. What kind of note? A resolution. The entire composition has been building toward a tonic, a home note. Everything resolves to it. When that note is produced, the composition is finished. And what happens then? The models suggest a global synchronization event. Every person producing the melody simultaneously, in harmony, for a sustained duration. Based on the neural restructuring patterns, Andrada thinks the synchronization will complete the brain changes, make them permanent, irreversible. They're already irreversible. The current changes, yes, but there's more. The final restructuring opens new pathways that don't exist yet. Darren, the brain after resolution won't just be optimized. It'll be capable of things the current brain can't do. What things? I don't know. Nobody knows. That's the point. We can't know because we don't have the hardware yet. It's like asking a radio what television looks like. I stand in my kitchen. Eli is in the living room, building a Lego spaceship. He's humming. Every child on the street is humming. Every adult. Every person in Frederick, in Maryland, in the country, on the continent. The composition is almost finished, and the last note is coming. And nobody is afraid, except me and Andrada. And Andrada told me last week that the white noise generators stopped working. She's humming now, too. I want to tell you what I've lost, specifically, so you understand why what comes next is a choice and not a surrender. I've lost Blackbird. I've lost the Jeopardy theme. I've lost Take Me Out to the Ball Game and Bohemian Rhapsody, and the song that played at my wedding that I can remember choosing but can't remember hearing. I've lost the ability to enjoy recorded music. Spotify is meaningless to me now. The radio produces sounds that register as noise. Concerts, if anyone were still holding them, would be intolerable. I've lost the surprise of new music, the experience of hearing a song for the first time and feeling it click into place in your life. Every song is now the same song. Every melody is a fragment of the one melody, or it's nothing. I've lost the musical history of my species. Beethoven, Coltrane, Billie Holiday, the Beatles, Mozart. They exist as facts. I know their names, their contributions, their significance. But their music is gone from me. When I try to recall it, the melody fills the space instead, the way light fills a room when you open the curtains. Not aggressive, just overwhelming. I've lost arguments, the ability to be irritated by bad music, the shared joke of a terrible song everyone hates, the way a breakup song can make you cry in a grocery store, the way a childhood jingle can teleport you 30 years in a single bar. I've lost privacy. My interior life has a soundtrack now, and it's the same soundtrack everyone else has. And when I hum it, anyone nearby can harmonize with me, and the harmonizing creates a connection that feels intimate and uninvited. I cannot be melodically alone. I am always in choir. And what I've gained health. My blood pressure, which was creeping up in my late 30s, is textbook normal. My sleep is deep and restorative. I haven't been sick since October. My energy is steady from morning to night. I've gained connection. Eli and I communicate in ways I can't fully articulate. A hummed phrase that conveys more than words, a harmonic shift that means, I love you, without either of us deciding it does. I've gained peace. The low-grade anxiety I've carried since college, the ambient dread that I thought was just adulthood, is gone. Not suppressed, gone. The melody occupies the space where anxiety lived, and the melody is warm. The trade is not fair. It's not a trade at all because nobody offered me terms. But if someone had, if a figure had appeared and said, I will take every song you've ever known and replace it with one that makes you healthier, calmer, more connected, and more at peace. But you will never hear another melody again. I don't know what I would have said. I know what I'm going to do now, though. I'm going to sing. January 27th. Late evening. Eli is in bed, and I'm sitting on the edge of his mattress the way I have every night since he was born. The room is blue with nightlight. His telescope is at the window, pointed at nothing in particular. Dad? Yeah. Are you scared of the song? Kids know. They always know. You think you're hiding it, and they've already mapped every contour of your fear. A little, I say. Why? How do you explain to a 7-year-old that you're afraid of something that only does good things? That the absence of harm doesn't mean the absence of danger? That a cage made of flowers is still a cage? Because I didn't choose it, I say. It chose us. Eli considers this. His face in the blue light is serious and ancient in the way children's faces sometimes are, carrying an expression too large for their features. But did you choose to hear? He asks. Like, did you choose to be able to hear sounds? No, that's just how ears work. Maybe the song is just how brains work, and we couldn't hear it before because we weren't ready. This is either the most profound thing anyone has said about the phenomenon or the most terrifying. I can't tell. The melody hums in me, and I can't tell if my inability to tell is organic or imposed. This is the trap. This is the thing that keeps me up at night. The melody improves cognition, yes. But does it improve the specific cognition you'd need to evaluate the melody? Or does it quietly disable it? Eli, do you miss the other songs? What other songs? He's not being evasive. He's genuinely asking. He's 7. The melody arrived when he was 7, and it has overwritten a 7-year-old's entire musical catalog, which was small to begin with. He doesn't remember a time before. For Eli, there is no before. There is only the song. Never mind, I say. Get some sleep. Dad? Yeah? When it finishes, can we listen together? What do you mean, when it finishes? The song. It's almost done. Can you feel it? Like when you're reading a book and you can feel the last pages under your thumb? I can feel it. The composition has been building for months. A harmonic architecture of impossible complexity, assembled by billions of voices without coordination. And it is almost complete. The resolution is coming. The last note. The final interval. And when it arrives, every human being on earth will produce it simultaneously. And whatever the melody has been building inside us will switch on. Yeah, I say. We'll listen together. He smiles and closes his eyes. He's asleep in minutes. Humming. January 29th. 2 days before the estimated resolution. I'm recording this on my phone because Andrada suggested it, and because I'm a science teacher, and documentation is what we do when we don't know what else to do. Beth has confirmed. The composition is complete, except for the resolving tone. Every harmonic voice is in place. Every counterpoint line is filled. The structure, if you could see it, would look like a cathedral made of sound. Vaulted, buttressed, engineered for a purpose that becomes clear only when the last stone is set. The resolving tone hasn't been produced yet, but it will be. Andrada's models predict simultaneous global onset, every voice producing it at once, triggered by a synchronization cascade that begins when the last preparatory harmonic is in place. I'm sitting in my kitchen. It's 11 p.m. Eli is asleep. The house hums. The neighborhood hums. Frederick hums. Maryland hums. The hemisphere hums. I'm going to say some things for the record. My name is Darren Coyle. I'm 41. I teach earth science at Braddock Middle School in Frederick, Maryland. I have a son named Eli. He's 7. His mother left when he was 3, and it's been the 2 of us since then. And we've done okay. I have been singing a song I don't remember learning for approximately 4 months. It has improved my health, deepened my relationship with my son, connected me to my community in ways I never expected, and taken from me every other piece of music I've ever known. I am, by every measurable standard, better than I was in September. I am also less than I was. I am a human being with one song where there used to be thousands. I am a brain remodeled for a purpose I don't understand. I am a voice in a choir that didn't ask me to audition. I'm not making this recording as a warning. It's too late for warnings. I'm making it as a record. Proof that someone noticed. That someone stood inside the melody and felt it working. And thought, this is extraordinary, and this is wrong. And these 2 things can be true at the same time. Beth says the resolution will be beautiful. She says it with certainty because she's heard the architecture and she trusts the math. I believe her. I think it will be the most beautiful sound any human has ever produced. I think it will change what human means. I'm afraid I'm going to sing anyway, because Eli asked me to listen with him. And that's a choice I can make, even inside a process I can't stop. I can choose who I stand beside. I can choose to be present. Maybe that's enough. Maybe that's all choice ever was. It happens on January 31st at 3:47 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm awake. I've been awake all night, not from anxiety, but from anticipation, the kind that runs too hot for sleep. Eli is in my bed, curled against my side. He woke up at midnight and padded down the hall and climbed in without a word. At 3:46, the melody shifts. I feel it before I hear it. A pressure change, like the atmosphere adjusting before a storm. The harmonic structure that has been building for months reaches its penultimate phrase and holds. Every voice on earth, every sleeping hummer and waking singer, sustains a chord that has no name in any musical tradition and waits. 1 second. 2. The silence between the last breath and the first word. Then the resolution. Eli opens his mouth. I open mine. The resolving tone comes out of us the way the first cry comes out of a newborn. Involuntary, necessary, the sound of something beginning. It's a note I've never heard, in an interval that didn't exist until this moment. And it's the most natural sound I've ever produced, like it was always there, waiting under everything else. The harmony locks into place, complete. The composition, started by children in parking lots and waiting rooms, built by billions of voices across months of unconscious collaboration, finishes. And for 4 minutes and 11 seconds, every human being on Earth sings the same song. I can't describe what it sounds like from the inside. Language fails here, not because the experience is vague, but because it's too precise. Every voice has a place. Every body resonates at its designed frequency. The sound isn't loud, it's total. It fills every space the way water fills a vessel, completely, conforming to the shape of whatever contains it. I hold Eli, he holds me, we sing. Outside, the neighborhood sings. The city, the coast, the hemisphere, the world. And then it's over, 4:51 a.m. Silence. Real silence, for the first time in months. The melody is gone. Not suppressed or paused. Finished. The composition played its last note and ended, and the place in my brain where it lived is quiet. Eli breathes against my chest. Dad? Yeah? It's done. It's done. The melody is finished and will not return, and I can feel the new architecture in my mind, the way you can feel a new room in a house after the construction dust settles. Spaces that weren't there before. Capacities I can sense, but not yet name. And underneath them, a vast, clean silence where thousands of songs used to live. I try to hum Blackbird. Nothing comes. I try Happy Birthday. Nothing. The new pathways are open. The old ones are gone. Whatever I am now, I am it permanently, and the melody that made me is finished. And I can't even hum it anymore, because it too is gone. It did its work and left. Eli falls asleep. I stare at the ceiling. The house is quiet in a way it has never been quiet before. Not empty, reconfigured, like me. I don't know what comes next. But for the first time in months, that uncertainty is entirely mine.